Hi, my name is Erin Furman here in Pensacola, Florida. Here are my 3 adults. This is for Comms 101 with Professor April Presley in informational speech. You know you're a military wife when you wake up at 4 a.m. to make a protein shake. When you find yourself somehow doing a load of just green every other day. When you've memorized the smell of Bates Lights warmly baking in the summer heat. Those are combat boots. When you know how to rearrange your life in a period of 2 weeks for the needs of the Corps, and you find yourself asking, do I just have a bad attitude? Well, what is an attitude? What makes it bad? Where does it come from? And is it changeable? These are the answers, these are the questions that social psychology seeks to answer, specifically through a subcategory of attitude theory. Now, I've thoroughly enjoyed the challenges presented to us in the last 1.5 years of being a military wife for the Marine Corps. But during those months, I realized that there are several predictable and consistent psychosocial problems that are unique to all of us as military wives. My purpose for us today is to come to a deeper understanding of the field and the redemptive uses of social psychology, and to understand the psychosocial attitude factors that are unique to us as military wives. In order to understand this, let's spend a little time in 3 areas. How social psychology is an occupation, social psychology addresses attitude theory, social psychology is also a tool in God's kingdom. Firstly, social psychology is an occupation. We're going to cover what it is, the credentials needed to be a social psychologist, and what people do. Dr. Robert Alvin, in his book Created for Communication, offers this definition for social psychology. He says, it's the examination of people's interactions with each other and with the social environment around them. Have you ever wondered why people have a difficult time adapting to a new duty station, a new church, a new job, or getting new friends? Well, social psychology has answers to these very things. Dr. Alvin goes on to explain that there are other areas of research in psychology, such as substance abuse or counseling, but all those deal with the individual. And social psychology is unique in the field of psychology and how it treats the individual and the social environment. Dr. Wayne Wayton of Nevada State University says that there are 22% of psychologists that are social psychologists, so it's a relatively small field. What do you have to do to be a social psychologist? Well, Dr. Alvin, in his book, says that you need at least a master's degree and possibly other licenses. For instance, if I were to become a social psychologist, I would have to use the next 3 years probably, when my husband and I are in Japan, to do an original research topic and a thesis paper, and possibly other licenses if I want to come back to the States. So, what do social psychologists do exactly? Dr. Sue Jervis is from Britain, and she was a military wife at one point. She used the reflexive research method to gather information about the psychosocial issues that military wives face. Dr. Wheaton also explains that doing research in other areas like group behavior is also important, but specifically attitude relates to us as military wives. Second thing we're going to talk about today is how social psychology addresses attitude, specifically attitude theory. So let's draw our attention to that. Molly Gross is one of my favorite Marine Corps comedians, previous military wife, and motivational speaker. She says that when my husband met me, I had goals, I had ambition, I was enjoying life. But in the period of 2 short weeks, I found myself with no friends, no job, no interests, no goals, and no life. I wasn't myself. And then I had to get more honest with myself and realize that I really only had one problem. It was my attitude. So what is an attitude? What is its source, and is it changeable? Dr. Melvin Maness offers this definition. Attitudes are determined by our beliefs and are usually defined as the effect, positive or negative, that we associate with an object or event. Attitude theory explains our experience as military wives. So how can we possibly find this field of research applicable to us if our environment is constantly changing, predictably every 2 years? Enter Semper Gumby. Not sure if any of you are familiar with this claymation superstar, but every time the military throws us a curveball and we get new orders and we have to move, my husband here reminds me that we need to be always flexible. But reality sets in and the boxes start building up, and it seems endless, and I find myself semper grumpy. Well, Dr. Jervis's research also explains this phenomenon. She calls it a significant psychosocial transition, moving. It involves inevitable loss, mourning, which needs to be allowed. And she also goes on to say that profound changes in our world seem to call for profound changes in our life, which makes a lot of sense, because anytime we go through change or loss, it's also an opportunity to undergo beneficial growth. Social psychology is also a tool in God's kingdom. Now that we know about occupation of social psychology and research attitudes applicable to our lives, let's dig a little bit deeper and see how we can apply this. Firstly, Dr. Alban values the rightful authorship of God over our minds. This includes our attitudes. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. By the same token, we must cast our cares upon God. Psalm 55:22. This allows us to break down not our own attitude barriers, but also others, to reach them with the power of the gospel. Think about it. If we give in and adopt victimization attitudes, we're giving up our chance to reach out redemptively to effect change in the world for Christ. In summary, you now hopefully understand the occupation of social psychology and how it addresses the issues we encounter on a daily basis redemptively. Next time the military asks you to move, or you feel like complaining about our health care, or the transportation office, or the laundry load that you have to do every other day of green, I hope you understand the psychosocial ramifications of attitude before joining the Semper Grumpy.